So if you are going the nurse midwifery way, you don't need to worry about tuition, financial aid. It's all there.
A whole lot of debt for you to get in, okay?
A whole lot of. We can just briefly say,
shortage.
Stony Brook runs about $6,000 a year in that neighborhood because it was $4,999 when I was in there. I guess in 2000 and back. So they probably are about $6,000 a year now. That's just the tuition component. That is not your distance learning fees. That's not your book fees. Book fees will run you about $800 to $1,000 a semester in midwifery school for your textbooks. And so when you end, I ended on the low end. You end up taking a little bit extra because you're cutting work hours and you need to work long wise. But I was a National Healthcare Scholar, so that is available to nurses who are entering a nursing program for midwifery. So if you are a nurse and you are going into a nurse midwifery program, you can apply for the National Healthcare Service Corps Scholarship.
That's an amazing.
And I was a recipient of that. It is a long application process. It is a rigorous interview process. They do go from state to state, interviewing the candidates at a hotel because they're also interviewing medical students and counselors. They got a whole group of people that and they have allotted the money out by how many they have. So the doctors are getting the bulk of the money. We'll just say that. So when I applied, they were going to award 9 scholarships for the year. And they had gone from state to state.
Okay, this is like U.S.-wide.
9 in the United States were going to be awarded in the midwifery category. And you can go to any school. They pay the complete tuition. And you receive a $1,200 a month stipend from them. So they don't care where you go. So I could have gone to a very expensive school. They would have paid for that. And then they're going to give you a stipend. And in return, you will work at a certain type of clinic. So you have the clinic will receive a HIPSA score, if you've ever heard of the HIPSA score, for need-based. And if it's need-based high enough, so at the time that I graduated, the HIPSA score needed to be a 15, I believe, for you to go into the facility. Mostly you will find that your Board of Health, federally qualified medical centers are the ones, your FQHCs, are the ones who really will have great scores. So I knew that when I graduated, I would be relocating. But I tracked that list on that scholarship 2 years before I applied to midwifery school. So I knew that there was a particular clinic, Alivio, where I ended up meeting Christine, that was on that list, and I am from Chicago. So I, of course, preferred to take Alivio if I was going to be leaving Georgia just to go back home. And so I took that scholarship and I walked into Alivio off the street and I said, I need a job and I gotta work here. this is on the list. and Mama Bear, Evelyn, who got her into her program, was there. And she said, I knew I would hire you when you walked in off the street and said you had to have this job. So that's where I went and did my return commitment. So you will be paid, but you have to do a return commitment. So it's a 2-year return commitment. You must maintain full-time status in your midwifery program. You cannot be part-time. And the nice thing about that is that they did fly us to Washington, D.C. A few times to just build you up into service and servicing the underserved area. So that was really nice. Got a lot of free education and met a lot of people that way. So that's an option scholarship-wise if you're on a nurse midwifery track. But all the schools do. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh. The one where you don't have to have a scholarship,
the payback. So you can do the nurse loan repayment program. So let's say you finish, say you didn't make those 9 slots, so however many slots it'll be.
But to do the 9, you already have to be an RN before you start.
Right, you have to be accepted into your program.
Okay.
And when they make the announcements, they're going to pick their 9, and then they're going to choose 9 alternates. I was an alternate, and within 3 hours, first I was told I was an alternate. And within 3 hours, I was told, no, you're in. So, so because you have to already be accepted into your program. So when they're awarding, they're probably calling to see, are you accepted? If you're not accepted, the slot is taken away. You have to reapply again.
Okay.
And this is the National Healthcare.
That's the National Health Service Corps. National Healthcare Service Corps. That's for the scholarship part. Now they have a loan repayment part. So when you finish your program, you can go and get you a job at find the highest HIPSA score you can find, and then apply. And then you're already working in a facility that they're going to accept the HIPSA score off of, and you give them 2 years, and they will give you 80% of what you owe in student loan. Is it debt? 6 years.
Oh, wow.
It was 2 when I was there. If they have increased
6
it,
is a
I'm
long
not aware
time.
of
That's
it. It was 2 for me.
6 is long.
Yeah, I've never. It's never been 6 for me, and I did it
I
for
feel like it's
nursing.
more than 2 now.
But they may have raised it. They may have raised it, and you do have to complete your commitment, because if you don't, they will be garnishing your wages for $150,000. So you must complete
And
the return
those
commitment,
sites
and
are-
they're serious about that.
And those
Because I have
sites
a
are
friend that's
usually-
paying it back now.
Yeah, they're usually very, very underserved communities that you're servicing, you know, that you're working in.
Yeah. So that's how, but it's very enjoyable. I mean, I worked at Alivio, which is a Spanish federally qualified health center. It was great because I got to speak Spanish every day. And it was also awesome because they are proponents of natural birth. They love natural birth. And it was just a really all-around great experience for 2 years. They have big babies. So you get lots of experience with shoulder dystocia, where it's not even an issue for you at all. You're like,
Anyone military? Any military people? No? Okay.
no military in here. All right, so now for the MEAC schools, how do we pay for the education? So a few of the schools, Midwives College of Utah has I forget what the number is. It's called Title IV status. Okay, I was like, which title is it? Because Title 10 is the birth control. Yeah. Okay, no. So they do have the Title IV status, so it's straightforward financial aid like you would get at any other university.
Birthrights too. There's a few of them that have it. They don't all have it. Though.
Yeah.
Bay Strayer has it. Maternidad La Luz does not have it. They don't have it. I don't know.
I don't think NCM does either. Yeah.
I know they don't.
Mercy in Action doesn't either.
Yeah. What about Birthing Way? The Florida school does. I thought Florida Traditional did.
They might.
Yeah, I thought they did. I think Florida Traditional
But they don't
does.
have a distance program. You have to live there.
Oh, you have to live with them.
LM,
Live
I
there,
think,
yeah.
It's the whole licensing
Oh,
in
yeah,
Florida.
Yeah.
That's a whole game.
That's a whole other.
That's
A whole nother, let's not go there.
Right. I think Southwest, because that's the only technical college, so I think they.
That would have to.
And the other thing I would say that helped me a lot at Midwives College of Utah, because it's about 35 grand, is the Pell Grant. You could get the Pell Grant if that helped. That gave me like $15,000 right there, and that's not money that you have to pay back. So if you don't have a bachelor's degree already, you can apply for Pell Grant and qualify. You can get the maximum is $5,600 a year, and that does help.
Yeah, if
It
you're in
does.
Title IV, you can get grants, and so it's super helpful not to have to pay it back.
Yeah, in MCU they have I think 1 or 2 slots, like scholarship slots for women of color, which is just 1 or 2.
And I think once you get it, it's for all 4 years, right?
Yeah, it's
once
for all
you get
4
it,
years.
it's
Once
for
you get it, yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah,
That's helpful. That's helpful. And how much is your program on average?
Our program is roughly around, it went up 65. I mean, that's
A
with
year?
that's with me traveling. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
that's
yes.
for the
with me
year.
traveling,
About
yeah.
6,500 a year. I think the tuition at Utah was listed for on their site at 3,000 a trimester.
Right, so 3
Yeah.
per year, so
Yeah.
9 times
Oh.
4,
So
36.
About
It's
nine,
like
yeah, about
35
9,000 a year,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so
Which
you'll
doesn't
finish the
include
mission
your
count
books.
about
I
40.
can tell you,
Yeah.
last year's the most expensive.